Hi everyone, welcome to Tom Williams' session Friday. As I said, Rita's here, myself Peter, and of course the Master, Mr. Williams. So the recording started and I'll hand you straight over to Mr. Williams. Tom?
Right, thank you Peter, thank you Rita. Tom Williams here, lovely to talk to you. Now we were destined to do a newsletter last Sunday, but we couldn't do it because Gavin was here and he was occupied all my free computers, and he'd taken over. He was doing his what was it called, Peter? Summit. All right, with various people talking, but I was unable to do the newsletter because of that, so I apologize for that. But we were ready, we would have done it. And of course we will be doing one this coming Sunday. However, we're okay now. Gavin's back in his home in the forest of New Forest, Hampshire, England. But now, first of all, what you're looking at first of all, last week when he was here, right, the week before that we were in Poland. So I was unable to do a newsletter then. Last week, I was helping him trading, and he made a lot of money on what we call testing. Testing. Now you've all heard us talk about testing. Some people, especially newcomers, say, what on earth is a test? What do you mean by a test, right? But we'll look at that in a moment. But the chart you can see up at the moment is a 10-minute chart of the S&P 500. Is it the S&P or the Dow? Sorry, the S&P Future. I apologize for asking Peter because my eyesight's not all that good. But I've got a huge screen here, I can see the chart, and of course I know the system so well that I more or less know what's happening here most of the time. On saying that, of course, I've improved myself over the last year or two, and testing is one of these areas where I didn't realize when I first started how important they were. Now, to explain what I mean, Peter, can you put up the daily chart of the future, which is on there? That's it. Now, this is a daily chart of the future S&P, right? Now, looking at it like this, you could see it's laboring, trying to go up. Well, it is going up. But you can see by leaning over to the right and rounding over very slightly, it is meeting a bit of supply and a bit of no demand, right? But trends run longer than you think they will. And there is such a thing as a Christmas rally that traditionally we have had, but it's not necessarily guaranteed, right? But what is guaranteed is that if the market is bullish, they will test the market, and we call it a test in a rising market. Now, if you were writing a book and telling the readers what a test looked like, you would describe it as a down bar on a narrow spread, usually closing the middle, but not necessarily. But the main thing is the volume will be low. Now we use relative volume. That means relative to the previous two volumes, right? So if it's less than the previous two bars, it's definitely low volume, relatively speaking. Now, I would advise you strongly to burn that into your mind. Now, a lot of you already know that, because it's a money-making thing. Now, what you could describe a test. Now, you look at that chart, you can almost visualize a mountaineer trying to climb, say, Mount Everest or some dangerous mountain covered in snow and ice. Now, as the lower parts of the mountain are more easier to go up, fair enough, but as you get higher, it gets more and more labored, right? And it's not so easy going. But you also need to test the snow and the ice in front of you, right? So you get a pole or whatever it is, stick it in the ground, and make sure that the next step you take is safe. And that's what testing is. And you see it here all the time. Not only that, the computer tells you it's here. Now, admittedly, they don't have signals on, because when I wrote this, or got the programmer to program it in, I didn't realize, because I'm learning as well, I didn't realize the importance of a test after a red arrow. Now, the market's going up, look. There's a red arrow there, look. Okay, it's probably, what's that, no demand? No demand. Right. Now, professional money see that. They're immediately aware of that. So they stick their stick into the snow to see if it's safe to carry on, because they don't want an avalanche of selling hitting their long positions. So they stick the stick in. Now, if you move down to the lower bit of the chart, right, what did I tell you a test was? A down bar. Sorry, the computer's playing around. Here we are. The computer, right. I told you if you write down what a test is, it's a down bar, volume low, spread narrow, Christ, close right in the middle. That is a test. And with a test, they've stuck their finger in the snow, and it's safe to go on. There's no deluge of selling going to interfere with their long positions. All right, so up they go. Up. Up. Now, there's another bout of no demand there, look. What's this say, Pete? No demand, all right, fair enough. We know what no demand is. Right, so we see no demand. So what they do? Next bar, they test the snow to make sure it's safe to go on up. So what's the computer tell us? Below, the bar is down. Right, this is what you've written down describing a test. A down bar, volume low, spread narrow, close the middle. There, the computer's telling you, hey mate, this is a test. When you get a test, it means there's no supply. That means it's safe, there's not going to be an avalanche. You're safe to go on, carry on. So it says, okay, up you go, and there it goes. Now, lo and behold, there's another red signal. So they say, right, let's test it, see what's going on here. Is this a test? Right, what's the test? A down bar, low volume, spread narrow, close the middle. Computer's telling you that this is a test. Now, when I had this program written, naturally, I should have had arrows put on this. But at the time, I was busy doing 100 other things. It bypassed me. It was so important. And I haven't got access to a computer programmer on this program. So that's why it's going up, look. Right? Now this one, right? We've got to wait and see what happens, because it looks like no demand on this one. What's that say, Pete? No demand, there you are. So there's your daily chart. Now, it's interesting because I was sitting here with Gavin. Every time we saw these tests, he piled in, making fistful of money on all of these tests in a rising market. It's there telling you. And the reason is a test, right? If there's no selling, there's no supply, in other words, there's no avalanche, there's no loose snow, whatever it is, right? It means that demand must be greater than supply. That means the market is going to go up. Even though you can see it's laboring slightly, it's rounding over. Now, of course, this is a more longer term position, a daily chart. But there's so many different ways to trade these markets. You know, you can scalp it, you can do a longer term, you can do options, all sorts of things. We're not here to tell you, it'd be a nightmare to us, right, to tell you to buy and sell and go to the bank, put the money in the bank to thousands of people. I mean, we're in Warsaw, and you would be surprised the interest in this system and program in Warsaw. I mean, I walked into this hall with Gavin and Richard, and there's over 400 people in there, mostly men, of course. Men, you know, men like adventure. It's in their system. They like taking a bit of risk. You know, if they couldn't take risk, then they couldn't have left the cave in the old days with the spears and done any hunting. It's built into mankind. They like a little bit of excitement, a bit of risk, right? But that can lead you to disaster, as you're probably fully aware, where women tend not to have that disadvantage. And that's why a lot of women are very, very good traders. But anyway, I went into this hall with 400 people, and they all stood up and started clapping. You know, it was a bit kind of unusual for me. But I must admit, and they put on a hell of a good show for me. We went on the stage and did our little bit talking that, and they all seemed very happy. Very happy. You'd be very surprised at these ex-communist countries, how eager they are to throw off that cloak of preventing them doing anything. But anyway, we're back now here. But this is a test. Now, it's very, very important testing. Now, if you see a test, we do have such a thing we call a fail test. Now, if you see a principle, which is really what you're trying to spot, or have to spot, right, I describe it like you go down to the main bus depot. You don't get on any bus, do you? You wait till your bus arrives with your number on it, right? Because you know that bus is going to your home area, right? So you don't just jump in the market and gamble. You wait till you see a principle that you recognize. We're talking about trading futures here. And if you don't do that, you're gambling, and you're joining 90% of people that lose money trading these markets. They're not there to help you. That's how the market is. But they can't hide things like testing. They can't hide stopping volume. and principles like that. But testing is most important to you. Now, of course, if you see a principle like a test, you would expect higher prices. Now, if you fail to get higher prices, then that's telling you something as well, isn't it? They've tested the market and the snow's loose. So they're not going to go ahead at that moment. So it's you're stuck your stick in the snow, whatever you do, and it hasn't worked out. So you retreat, or you hold back, or you don't go further. It's too dangerous. When you're carrying thousands of contracts, right, the biggest danger is other professionals or other people, whatever they are, we don't ask too many questions, selling every time you try to move the market up, selling into your buying, right? Now that's testing. You must get this lesson in your head. Lots of you got it, I know, and it doesn't harm to keep repeating this stuff. Now before we move on to anything else, Rita's peering at her screen here, and Peter. Are there any questions? Couple of questions.
I'll read them both at the same time. Why does your chart not show the green arrows indicating that tests have appeared? And also, where would you enter after a test, as a test could fail?
Well, first of all, don't forget these signals were written 10, 12 years ago, right? And at the time, I had a very good programmer that could make alterations and do things for me. As you can imagine, it takes time. You've got to test all these things. Don't forget, it was groundbreaking stuff. Nobody was here to teach me. I had to pick all this up myself and instruct the programmer what to do. And the reason there's no signal on that, there will be any new software that we come out with, definitely signal on those tests. There'll probably be flashing bright green or something, I don't know, it's very powerful sign of strength. That's the reason why there's no signal there. And the way things have gone, right, we can't alter the signals at the moment, right? And what was the other question, Rita? Oh, where do you go in?
Yeah, because it could be a failed test.
Well, the thing is that if you see a test in the rising market, you know, the reason why it'll be a failed test is the obvious reason is there's some weakness that's appeared in the background, right? But the odds are so heavily in your favor that that market's going up after a test, so heavily in your favor. I mean, when I see it, when I was here with Gavin, we just went straight in, bang, as soon as we saw it, as soon as the bar was finished. It always pays to wait till the bar is finished, because that's a lesson I've learned, and Gavin's learned. You watch these bars, and you say, oh, that looks like an upthrust or weakness. And 10 seconds later, it's not an upthrust, it's something else. So you have to wait until the bar has finished painting or forming. And then as soon as you see that, you go in. And if you've got strength in the background, then the odds are heavily in your favor. Heavily in your favor. Put stop under it, of course, underneath on an odd number. The reason why you use odd numbers is because the herd, I call it the herd, that's everybody else is trading. Most people think in even numbers, right? Think about it. Most people think in even numbers. But if you place your stop on odd number, then you do stand a bit of a chance of the market makers, whoever it is, they know where your stops are. They've got screens where they can see them. Right, so don't think that's why you put them too close, they get caught. They know where they are, but if it's an odd number, you may get missed and not stopped out. Of course, people have got this risk in mind. They put the stop far too close. And if it's on the even number, that makes it even worse. If you go to an auction, a public auction, and if you think, well, $200, yeah, okay, but if I bid $215, you're probably more likely to get it than the others that are bidding against you. It's just that the herd, we call it the herd, thinking even numbers. That makes sense?
Edmund, no, John says, can you explain this bar, just this bar here, that one?
Oh, yeah. What? I looked at that. I thought that must be a Sunday or something. Peter just says confirmed. It's a Sunday. They're all at church, so they wouldn't be trading. They're all on their knees praying.
Two questions. One is there a risk of the market rounding over? And the other one is, would you still go long at these levels?
Well, trends run longer than you think they will. If you see a successful test now, you must assume this market still wants to go up. And this is a daily chart. Now I'll show you a lower time frame in a moment, but that's really for scalping, where you only want to be in the trade for sometimes a very short time. But if you get it right, the odds for you making money is very highly in your favor, highly. But you don't trade unless you see a principle that you recognize. Don't do any guessing. You must recognize it. Don't do nothing until you see the principle. Okay?
Okay, Jack is asking, how would you use lower time frames along with the daily charts? And where would you place stops?
Well, as you get to recognize these principles involved in these charts, of course your skill as a trader kicks in. And that's another level that you have to learn and overcome. There's no fast rules with trading. You see a principle, if it's bullish you go in, put the stop under the last support on an odd number, and if supply comes in you're out. That's what we do for scalping. What was the question fully, Rita?
How would you use lower time frames along with the daily charts, and where would you place the stops?
Right. When you look at the daily chart, it gives you a very good idea where the market is going. What's happened here, Pete? Nothing to worry about. Sorry, something happened. Okay, so with a daily chart, you know definitely the trend of the market. It wants to go up. Now what we do, we'll switch now. Let's look at the 10-minute chart, see what's going on, Peter. It's 10 minutes. Now, okay, this is, now, no, leave it like that. I think, how many bars is it? 30?
20, 30,
Yeah. Now, the reason why, of course, I have to have 20 or 30 bars is because my eyesight's not very good now. But this seems to encompass and show more or less some of the principles that I can see here. Now, there's a 10-minute chart of the future. Now, what we have up here, look, start with, look, we move it back, look, there it is. Markets don't like ultra-high volume. There it is, on up bars. Right, now there's not a signal on that bar, but there is on others, I know. So I've seen them. Volume is activity. You can see clearly that the activity is very, very high. On that activity, it was shot up, look, but it closed, what's that in the middle?
Yeah, just about middle, yeah.
Right? So there must have been selling there. That activity must have represented selling, and not only that, you are vulnerable because it's been after a lab move. There will come a time when professional money get nervous and they want to unload or short or whatever. Okay, now, we're not the only ones who can see that, right? Professional money would see that immediately. Right, so we move 10-minute chart, move on to the next bar, right, and they say, right, so we've seen the supply, we know the supply in that previous bar, so why do we have a nice up thrust here, catch a load of stops, mislead a load of people into going the wrong way, we make a lot more money. Computer recognizes that, comes up with a signal. And that says supply coming in. Supply is selling. We've already seen the selling. Read those dialog boxes. There's a lot of information in there, which, if you keep at it, it'll make sense. All right? So you've got supply on that bar. You can see it. Look, there's the activity. Very high. Up, and on that activity, close in the middle. Professional money would see that straight away. Well, they'd be part of that. So what do they do? Next bar, which is there, look, is that it? Yeah. They mark it up, catch stops, mislead many people as possible. Automatic signal telling you this. And then they stop supporting the market and the red trading system kicks in. There's not a lot of selling though. There is a bit of high volume there, but not a tremendous amount. So markets fall. That'd be no demand probably. Don't no demand. Sorry, the thing's updating. Anyway, look, so yeah, so the market falls until the S&P pit opens in Chicago. Perhaps you could put 20 bars up for me, could you? So I could see a bit better. That's there. Right, that's better. So there's the, right, so here we see what looks like stopping volume. Stopping volume is when professional money think that they can step into the market with thousands of contracts, right, and buy into the market because they think they can move it up a bit. But we know that they like to test that supply. That's the principle. So you get stopping volume, right, so it rounds over, and there's the test, look, right there, look. Its volume, I'd like to see it lower, right, but it's less than this volume. at that the level was important. Look, stopping volume came in at that level where that line is, right? They want to test that level. So the level is important. Bang, there it is. And look, the volume is now substantially lower than that. So that means that I'd like to see it lower, but it is a lot lower. And we've even got an automatic signal on there. Basic test. Right, so, right, they're testing. It's that level that's important. Testing that level where previously there was supply, now it's dramatically decreased. There's not a lot of accumulation here. It just looks as if they bought some, testing it. Some areas call this a springboard, and up it starts to go. Right. So up it goes, look. Now, that looks like a test, but let's have a look, see what the computer calls it. Remember, you know what we said the test was? This is down bar, volume is low, spread narrow, close low. Well, fair enough. It's not far off what we thought a test was, or we wrote in our book what a test was. So you would expect high prices on that. And in fact, it goes up a few bars, look. Now, just because there's no signal or anything at this top bit, all right, doesn't mean to say there won't be on other time frames. Now, what's interesting here, right, let's see what the computer says about this. Now, I can tell you, but where is it now? Here it is. It's a down bar, look. Is that a test? So let's see what the computer says. Down bar, yes. Volume's low, spread narrow, close low. Well, as far as the computer is concerned, this is being tested. Right? You would expect higher prices after that. Professional money saw that test, and it looks as if they bought something here. What's that say, Pete? Another test. Right. So it was a bit of a test there. However, we suddenly got a sign of weakness. No demand. Now, no demand at an area or level, which is here, look. We know there must have been supply in there somewhere, that's why it came off. You have to be very wary when you see the market go up into an area where there was weakness previously on low volume. Professional money are fully aware that that was an area of weakness there, that level. Right, whatever the level means, doesn't matter to us. Right, so it's up on a narrow spread, volume has fallen off. That means that the people that matter, professional money, cannot be bullish because they're not participating in the up move. It's really opposite to a test, isn't it? Instead of going down, they're going up here. But this is how you read a shorter time frame. And if you want to do a bit of scalping, this is what you do. Any questions?
Yeah, Winston's asking, if you get a test followed by 2 down bars, do you wait to see an up bar in the next few bars?
Well, if the market's very bullish, right, it'll respond straight away to a test. If it takes a couple of bars, just market conditions aren't quite ready, but it could still go up because the second down bar will also look like a test. But nothing's in black and white here. You've got to recognize the principle, right, to be flexible in your thinking. You're testing the snow as you go up. Is it safe or isn't it safe? Right? You may want to test twice. You know, it's nothing, no hard and fast rules here, because we don't use mathematical formulas, because the market doesn't work on those. If you have some banging going on, that's the fireworks. Because we're on a resort town here, and they seem like to do that sort of stuff. Bonfire night, they call it. Guy Fawkes night. So it's not war or anything going on, it's just fireworks. So, you know, you don't get alarmed if you don't pick it all up straight away. But it takes time, because the market works not as you expect it to work, because of all the deluge of information pouring in from the news, from here, from there, from the guy over the road, whole lot. And you're used to listening, and you're used to believing most people what they tell you. That's where it goes wrong, because you form a gut feeling, and you could bet your bottom dollar that gut feeling will be incorrect. Just how it works. But once you get your head around this, you'll be very excited, right? You'll even sit there laughing as you look at some of this stuff, especially if you listen to the news that goes with it. I mean, we had a sort of shakeout. I was watching the market during the elections in America on the Democrats and the Republicans. Now, of course, we don't follow that closely, but apparently they figured that the Republicans are going to do a better job next time. And so they had a shakeout, and then I went up. But that was on the news of elections, which is quite understandable. But don't believe anything you hear. Believe the charts.
Okay, yeah, if you've got some charts that you'd like Tom to take a look at, put them into the questions box. We've got one here. Can we take a look at gold futures?
Yeah, gold. Right, Peter says you've got to put the chart up. Ah, yeah, daily chart. We don't have intraday information. Oh, perhaps we do, but I don't know about it at the moment. Now the chart's coming up. We're just updating it, make sure it's up to date. Well, say up to date for yesterday. I mean, that gives you a warning of a bit of skullduggery going on, doesn't it? That you can't get the thing till next day.
Here's a question while we're doing that.
Yes? Yes?
While we're waiting for that, Winston is asking, is it common to have a test following a shakeout? Is that the testing to see if all the supply is out?
Well, the thing is, you've got to be prepared. Right, is there a light in the bathroom? right? You open the door, pull the string. As soon as the light comes on, then you're fully aware of what's happened. Let the light switch itself on. It's not necessary to test, but if it tests, then you'll see it straight away, because it may test on these various time frames. What are we looking at there, Peter?
Just finding the
So Peter's trying to find it. Continuous contract for gold. So it looks as if, obviously looks as if it's falling. On saying that, there looks like a bit of stopping volume here. But don't forget gold. And there was some signs of strength there, look. No supply. But professional money, people are trading this big time. As the markets fall, I believe it's been falling quite heavily, the market becomes vulnerable to a price level that can become attractive to professional money, where they think they can move in and take it up a bit to make some money. Not in a huge bull market or change everything. Right? We have to watch that. But this looks like buying right here, look. There was no supply there. Look, we've got a down bar and a narrow spread, very low volume. There is little or no supply in the market at that point. Could even be there, a bit of buying, look. And more there. You would expect one or two up bars here. Now, if it's bullish, right, you'd expect one or two up bars, then they would test, come back down to this level where the high volume has occurred. Now, the high volume may be here, or they may want to test this level. But right now, they're not testing it, are they? Professional money, you can see, entered the market, or some professional money has entered the market. That's all you've seen so far. But you have not seen a principle, so you sit there and you wait for the light to be turned on. It's as simple as that. But that's why you need to specialize, really, in one or two vehicles.
It's Peter here again. Just a question from me, actually, to Tom. On that particular chart, you talked about potential stopping volume or worse to that effect. And then the last bar we've got available for us, at least, is yesterday's bar, which the volume has dropped off, but the spread is very narrow. So you're saying that's bullish. Now, we don't make predictions as such for people to buy or sell or do anything like that, as we said before. But Tom, would you say that is insufficient or sufficient for you to consider going long, or is it just not enough there for you?
Not enough there. No, you'd expect one or two up bars now. But if they were seriously buying, it takes time to accumulate a line. Right now, we've seen some buying taking place, and that last bar, as Peter pointed out, there's absolutely no selling pressure on the market at all. Don't be surprised that doesn't go up one or two bars. But if they then test, right, or churn sideways, it takes time to build a cause. Markets can't go up unless it's got a cause, what we call a cause behind it. Right? Sometimes a cause takes time, sometimes it's very quick, right? But you have to be able to recognize the principle, which I've just shown you on that 10-minute chart with an example.
Tim is saying that chart is not accurate. That's because it's a daily chart. We haven't got today, but gold is trading 11 70. Yes, it is. Today it's up, Tom, to there. Look, Peter's just showing. So yes, it has. Yep.
Well, we're just describing the position of supply and demand. We don't know what's happened today, right? And apparently it's gone up. Fair enough. We expect to go up because there's no, when you look at that last bar that Peter pointed out, there's absolutely no pressure on the market at all. There was some buying here, look. Right, now that last bar, there's absolutely no selling pressure at all. There is no supply. That's why it's gone up a few bars. So that's good for scalping. But you have to recognize the principle. Now if that churns sideways a bit and then come back down to that level, and a level where there's no volume, where previously there was volume, that means that previously there was supply there, but now the supply has disappeared. Markets work on supply and demand. If there's no supply, it's going to go up. Okay?
Yep, so we don't have, we had a request for the 15-minute chart, but unfortunately we don't have that chart. Tom doesn't have the data for it. But here's a request for crude oil. It says there is high activity which started 5 days ago in the daily chart. Could you give your opinion? Crude oil, Peter.
Well, it's full of news, isn't it, oil now? Because of all this fracking in America, apparently the world's swamping in oil now. Spare oil. And that's what's driving the price down. There's the fireworks going off. It's not World War III. We have big tradition in England, you know, fireworks night. Guy Fawkes night. He was a poor guy. Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the House of Parliament a few hundred years ago and was caught. Did he burn him? Charming. Eh? Oh, yeah. Oh, Guy Fawkes night, yeah. They have effigies of him and they burn him. I don't think the government likes it now. Sorry, folks. We're on crude oil. Well, I see immediately markets don't like this high volume and these up bars, although we've got a green signal on it. But there was an attempt here, look, to buy some. As it got a down bar, the market's vulnerable because it's fallen so far. It's fairly narrowish spread. It's closed in the middle, look. That's probably what produced this signal. Let's have a look. What's the signal say? Yeah, test after shakeout. Fair enough. However, we look at the very next bar, and although it's gone up on that, right, the volume's very high. That's not ready to go. It won't go until you see a down bar on low volume, showing there's no supply. There's weakness here. I mean, look at that up thrust there, look. Look at the weakness everywhere. Oh. Top reversals, all sorts of things going on. I mean, you could spend hours analyzing that. This definitely appears to be trending down, look. And it definitely appears to be some effort, right, to hold the market up. But with so much news, so conflicting news, you'll never know the real truth. They're not going to tell you anyway. You're there to lose money, not to make any, as far as they're concerned. But I don't like that up bar. It's black. Sorry, it's a blue bar. That's up. But look at that very high volume. It's not ready to go up, that's for sure.
All right, we're nearly out of time. Jack, Tom doesn't get FTSE data.
From next week we will.
Oh, from next week we will have FTSE data, so we will be able to look at FTSE. That's from next week. So do you want to go back to the real time and we've got have a look what's going on for our last, that's it, that's 10 minutes. Oh, not much has happened.
Well, they are. You would just be sitting here on the fence watching it, wouldn't you? There's weakness there. We looked at this, didn't we? Here, there was a principle here. Definitely, that was a springboard. Come test. Now, the only thing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with it, but what's wrong is that the volume could be a bit lower. There is still supply there. And don't forget, you've got this hovering over you. That hasn't disappeared. There's still snipers in that tower just edging you to go up so they can shoot you if you try to cross up here. Professional money know that. There's weakness here. But it's subtle weakness, isn't it? There's nothing really clear. If you want my advice, you don't do anything unless you see a clear principle at work. And that's why you need to specialize really in one or two areas. So when they happen, you're fully aware of it, and your skill as a trader will kick in. But if you trade on the principle, the odds would be heavily in your favor. If you just go in willy-nilly or guessing, then you're going to lose. And you'll be one of the 90% apparently that lose money trying to trade these futures. As I said, last week Gavin was making a lot of money. All he was doing, and we were doing, was trading those tests, knowing that in a rising market, if you see a test, right, and it meets those parameters that I've spelled out to you many, many, many times, you should get higher prices. Now, if you don't get higher prices, that's telling you something as well, that there's something ahead that's not quite right, and you would not, or you proceed with great caution in your trading.
Just one last question from Paul. Could you please tell me what is the significance of the rectangular VSA signals compared to the triangular signals in the end-of-day software? Rectangular versus...
Oh, okay, yeah, Paul. That was a feature built into this program to give you, or to give the user, if you like, a kind of advance warning that if you see a rectangle, I'm not sure if we've got any on here, as opposed to a green triangle or a red triangle, it's not there, is it? Where did you see that, I wonder? I was just trying to show you an example. Oh, here we go, yeah. So, of course, the green triangles, the red triangles, they indicate possible strength or weakness. These rectangles are there to give you a heads up. For example, there's one here at the bottom, just here, that say there's a possibility of no supply. Okay, because it was a down bar and the volume was low, closing the middle. So yeah, there is no supply. However, really speaking, what did the market do on that? So had the market gone up on that, that would have been a good sign, because the no supply had been proved, if you like. However, on this occasion, the next bar was down, and so therefore that oblong was just a suggestion that might come up as a definite sign of strength, no supply. Because the next bar closed down, it wasn't so clear, and therefore there was no green triangle created. So it was an attempt to give someone, you know, an advanced bit of warning and a bit of extra information. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you everybody. That's it for this week. Tom will be doing his newsletter this weekend. We'll be doing it on Sunday. Have a great weekend and a great week. Tom, have you got anything more to say?
No, just thank you for listening, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to speaking to you next Friday. Bye-bye.